All good things must come to an end. With the anniversary over, the next major update is underway, bringing in two new characters, actually three new characters, with one of them having a new SP form. One of the characters is someone that you might have already seen by playing the story. It is Tyrantel, an interesting character that has piqued quite a bit of people's interest for great reasons. He's a physical attacker that's part of the Empire Mythical Reaper faction who can be an infantry or a flyer, and he's gonna need Patricia for his toughness bond. His talent lets him take less damage. After taking action, he can select an enemy to cast Seal of Domination, whereas during combat, the enemy attacks last that cannot be dispelled and be immunized for 3 turns, which has a 2-turn cooldown. When the enemy with Domination is within 3 blocks of him, then their attack and defense are reduced. Upon death, a unit Imperial Will spawns and can choose Echo of Will on a unsummoned ally, allowing them to gain all of Tyrantel abilities and act right away that occurs once per battle. Imperial Will inherits 100% of its attributes and is considered a summon. Echo of Will possesses an ally within 7 blocks who must be player control, which doesn't matter if they already took action or not. Yeah, so that domination effect is pretty ridiculous. From a few stuff that I've seen, you attack last no matter what against anybody. Unless you have something that has a first attack priority, then you're gonna be attacking at the same time. I do like his unique way of reviving. You're sacrificing an ally to bring Tyrantel back, so you're making a sacrificial play that will have an impact on your gameplay. One of his new skill is a passive that gives him more damage for his normal attack. When actively attacking, if his own attack is higher than the enemy, the opponent attack and int is reduced. His 2C is a guard skill that adds 50% of his attack to his defense and magic defense that can counterattack 2 blocks and takes less damage for 2 turns. His other 2C has a passive that lets him do more damage based on his damage reduction from his talent. It's a single target that lowers his damage reduction and heals him. His 3C has a passive that lets him guard nearby allies and is immune to displacement and fixed damage. This skill adds 50% of his attack to his defense and magic defense, counterattack 2 blocks that cannot be dispelled. His guard range increases to 2 blocks and buffs him up for 4 turns, then his skill changes that lasts for 3 turns. But if he is affected by Echo of Will, buff duration doesn't decrease and can act again moving 3 blocks. The second part of the 3C has the same passive, but it's a single target that dispels 5 buffs before battle. If there are 2 or less allies, he does more damage to enemy with domination, and killing with this resets the cooldown. So yeah, Tyrantel is some crazy tank, a damage dealing tank, an offensive tank. He has some vital passives, especially that 2C for his damage, which is also a good one to help him sustain. Oh yeah, there's also that 1C for that issue. Let's not forget his 3C that buffs him up and having more defense and magic defense. Those are impressive, but his talent is also really amazing. Especially that domination effect feels OP, to be honest. It can be used quite often that lasts a good amount of time, and it makes him attack last no matter what against anybody, unless they have something that lets him attack first. But yeah, his unique way of reviving should tell you that he is a very selfish character. He kinda just does what he wants, and he does a pretty good job at that. He's gonna be someone great to use as he does his role very well, but besides being a tank, he's not going to help your team at all. Unlike other tanks where they offer a faction buff and helps their team take less damage. But yeah, those are like the really only issues about Tyrantel. The next character who I'm actually more interested in is Tabres. Now what she has looks very fun to use. She's part of the Meteor, Strategy, and Princess faction who can be infantry and flyer. For her bonds, she needs Ashen for her toughness and Hoffman for her strength bond. Her talent gives more attack and defense. After doing damage, applies Dark Feather for 3 turns. That stacks 3 times, and each time it gets applied, the duration is refreshed for 3 turns. If the enemy has 1 stack, they take more damage when fighting her. At 2 stacks, they can be targeted anywhere by Tabres' skill, where she will teleport to them to use it. At 3 stacks, they cannot counterattack when fighting her. Sorry, if you're seeing this, she definitely wants to be at 5 stars to quickly get those stacks up. But there's no real worry about the method with this if you're worried about that. 1C can be used on an ally to grant a buff where they can apply 1 stack of Dark Feather when they actively attack for 2 turns. Afterwards, Tabres gets a buff where she can't be targeted if her HP is above 80% for 2 turns. A pretty nice skill to allow her to safely move in or her teammates. Definitely the best for her, which you will see what I'm talking about in a minute. Her 2C is a single target. When the number of allies is lower than enemy, then it ignores guard. But if the enemy has 2 stacks of Dark Feather, then it attacks directly to the hero. Killing the enemy doesn't reduce a buff duration, which only works in PvP, which I do find that it's really dumb for some reason. Like, doesn't really make sense why that's the case. Like, why not just have it be a thing in general? Doesn't really affect her that much. Now you may be thinking, how the heck is she still gonna be living when she has to be the one approaching first? So that's where her 3C comes into play. Her passive, when an ally dies, the attacker takes 2 stacks of Dark Feather. This is an AoE that reaches 2 blocks that hits 3 blocks around it. It restores 30% of HP to all allies who are in range, then gets a buff that lets her do AoE damage before entering battle that hits within 1 ring, that can't be dispelled and lasts for 2 turns. After this, she can act again moving 3 blocks. So you have 2 ways of playing Tabres. Allow her to use her 1C to get in close, or you play her exactly like Z2, to an extent. This kind of strategy will be a lot more proficient when rushing, since you're expecting to lose some characters. Having her and Z2 will actually make an excellent combo for thought pressure. It can put them in a dilemma where, for example, if they kill off Polly, Tabres 3C passive will activate, then Tabres can simply swoop in and assassinate that character with the 2C for the ignore guard, and Z2 can jump in right after. Or if Polly still lives, then Z2 can jump in next to her. The fun part for me that I see with Tabres is that she helps you at a number disadvantage. I really feel like that she's meant to help you even the odds. Her best method for approaching is to let her allies die or try to sneak in with the 1C, then perform her 3C to apply multiple stacks of Dark Feather, then go for the kill, which is very rewarding when it comes to using her 2C. But the biggest issue is that it doesn't bypass immunity and it can be dispelled. So yeah, that's why you don't really see a lot of people use her, because there are characters like Andrew who gives himself an immunity buff, even Isolda too. Even in regular content, you won't really see her full potential unless you fight some of the tougher enemies who are able to take some hits. The last character on the list is SP Lanford. He received an interesting buffs in ways that you wouldn't really expect. He got changed to a flyer who can use the Rainbow Pegasus Soldier. His talent has ignore skill cost and more damage. He has a command that increases stats of him and nearby allies within 2 blocks. And if they are mixed forces, it gets increased a bit more. You can attack first when launching the attack. At the end of action, he can choose to change into a Lancer that reduces mobility to 3 and takes in less damage that can't be dispelled and be immunized. It can be cancelled after using the skill again. I really do like the new change with the command effect. It gives you a better reason to play around him. Now, let's get to the other interesting thing about him. One of his new skill has a passive that has him guard nearby allies and is immune to displacement and from being silenced. You can use this to expand his guard range exactly as his command range, takes less damage, and adds 50% of his attack to his defense match defense that lasts for 4 turns. Not only is he a tank, but he's a very good one. They give him a lot of stuff for that role. Being silenced is my most hated thing in Langrisser, so it makes me happy that he gets an immunity to it, since he is very reliant on his skills, especially if he wants to be a support tank. His other new skill is a passive that increases his crit. When actively attacking, if there's a friendly mixed unit within 3 blocks, then it ignores guard. When you land a crit, gets a damage reduction buff for 1 turn. His role as a tank is very good. You can expect him to survive some hits. He is also a strategy faction buffer. Some of you guys might have forgotten about that. His role as an attacker is also extremely good. Dude just gives him so much, it feels unfair. Even his casting skill massively improves him, since it gives him more sustainability alongside chivalry. He does encourage you to play around him, which really isn't going to be important since a lot of characters can be fine on their own, unless maybe you're playing very slow. In regular content, he makes you feel invincible. His role as a support tank or a support damage dealer is so massive cause he provides a lot to the team. If I had to say some negatives, that'll be just playing around him all the time and having no revive, which is honestly fine by me with all the stuff that he can already do. Like man, I can't believe that I actually downplayed him the first time around, but now, SP Lanford is extremely worth it, especially for regular content. Is he necessary? No. Will he be fun? Yeah, he will. The only exclusive in this update is a helmet for Captain Mack. Ignores skill cost, when allies are within range of route marker, actively attacking deal damage, steals 1 buff and apply 1 buff to Captain Mack. A pretty niche pickup. AoE's team can definitely benefit a lot more from this, but it doesn't mean that it improves him that much. The first casting skill that we got is Dieharte. If there are 2 female ally, after using a skill to kill, the cooldown is reduced by 3 turns. He is a one and done type of character, so he's gonna be a bit more usable. Second casting skill allows Krueger to select 2 enemies when using his Thxs, which is gonna be really annoying since it's just debuffs. And against Rosen, you're gonna be seeing those stacks disappear quickly. Third is for Kertesz. Soul Seal lasts a turn longer. For each enemy with Soul Seal, his range increases to a max of 2. A really huge upgrade. Should be obvious to recognize that having more range is really a big thing. Having Soul Seal last a turn longer definitely helps him out. The last casting skill is for Melania. When Merit reaches 3 stacks, the target gets an additional effect that has them attack first when guarding. Pretty nice. It's okay. The only banner of interest is a red up with Patricia, who is really only great in PvP, who relies a lot on her teammates to do any damage. And then there is Andrew, who is great in Bolt, who is someone that can just do his own thing. If you're interested in SB Lanford but don't have him, the banner for Langrisser 4 and 5 characters always show up every month. I'm pretty sure like at the 3rd week of every major update. As for the content, a new Portal Leap chapter, Forbidden Battleground, and Dimensional Expedition. Next, the skins. An Echo of Light for Tyrantel and Tabres. The whole theme of this still makes me really wish for an Angelina wedding skin. Please, Long Games, make it happen, please. I want it so bad. Season 17 is nearing its end. Overall champion skin for the season is what we're getting. With season 18, Roga's gold skin and the Vanguard silver skin. In the store, a Wenham skin. I do like the art design. His other design is him as a cat and as a knight, but we never got one where we actually see him. Until now, that is. Then, a Macho Lotta skin for Nip. Her first free-to-play skin if you're interested. Should be like 4,000 crystal for the guaranteed. Alright, so that was about everything, if not most everything that the global side of Langrisser should be getting. I'm honestly really only looking forward to Tabres and SB Lanford. Tyrantel is just him. He's simply just built different. Dude literally forces his teammates to turn into him so that he can revive. I don't think I've ever seen anything so absurd as that. Like, dude might be the most selfish character in the game. But that's all I got. If you guys did enjoy this video, feel free to leave a like, subscribe when to see more, and feel free to let me know down in the comments how you guys feel about this update. Let me know how you guys feel about Tyrantel, Tabres, and especially SB Lanford. Definitely one of the best SB upgrade that we have seen in a while. But yeah, thanks for watching. Your fellow Z.